Hello guys, welcome back to the channel for a new Databricks video. Today's video would be about Unity catalogs in Databricks. We are going to see how to create a new metastore, how to create an external location using storage credentials, and how to create managed and external tables. As we all know, metastore is the top level container, then we have the catalogs, then we have the schemas, and at the very bottom we have the tables, the views, the volumes, and the functions. First, we are going to very briefly see the documentation to understand this hierarchy, and then we are going to proceed with a very simple example to understand, the whole concept. Okay guys, so let's see what the documentation says about Unity Catalog object model. As you can see, all metadata is registered in a metastore. This hierarchy of database objects in any Unity Catalog metastore is divided into three levels, represented as three-level namespace. Right? We have the catalog, schema, and then the table. So first we have the metastore, the top-level container, as you can see. Then we have the catalogs, and then we have the schema, the table, views, the values, and the functions. And at the catalog level, we also have external location and storage credentials. Metastores. The metastore is the top-level container for metadata in Unity Catalog. It registers metadata about data and AI assets and the permissions that govern access to them. For a workspace to use Unity Catalog, it must have a Unity Catalog metastore attached. Okay, so you can have only one metastore for each region in which you have workspaces. Typically, a metastore is created automatically when you create an Azure Databricks workspace in the region for the first time. But we are going to create a new metastore, right? So let's go into our environment. Here we have a storage account. I have two containers, container 1 and container 2. And one Databricks workspace here. As you can see, let me log on again. And here we have the account console, Databricks account console. So just type account console Databricks on Google, and you are going to open this tab here. You are going to sign in with your main account. And it's very important, just to clarify here, that you have your main account, the admin account, because in order to create a new metastore, you need to have the admin account. So what we are going to do here is to create, the first thing is to create an access connector for Azure Databricks. By default, when you create an Azure Databricks environment, it provides a connector. But let's create a new connector, which is the bridge between the storage account and the Databricks environment. So let's click on create. Let's provide the resource group and then the name. Let's say Databricks connector Apple, whatever. The region, this is important, West Europe. Then next, and then next. And here under managed identity, here, yeah, you leave that as is, it's on. So we are going to use the system assigned managed identity in this case. Next, review, and then create. So we're going to create this access connector, which is very, very important. And once this is created, what we have to do is provide blob storage permissions to this access connector, right? So to this one, we need to provide access to the storage account. So in the storage account, go here under access control, click on add role assignment, and let's wait. Let's scroll down to select the right role, and which is here, storage blob data contributor. Click on next. Click on managed identity. Remember, we have managed identities now for the access connector. select Manager Identity. Here at the bottom, as you can see, it says Access Connector for Azure Databricks. We have two. We are going to select this one, the one that we just created, select, and then review and assign. So let's assign this role assignment to the Access Connector in order to be able to use it to our Databricks environment. Now, inside container 1, as you remember, we have two containers inside container 1. Let's go there. Come on. Let's create a directory. Click on Add Directory. Let's say test1, right? Click on Save. And then what we are going to do is create our Metastore. So you have to go into your account console, not to your Databricks workspace, but account console in order to create a Metastore. So click on Catalogs. Okay, so here, as you can see, we have this Create Metastore. Click on Create Metastore. Then provide a name like Metastore Demo, right? You have select your region, West Europe, right? And then here, this is optional, but I think it's good practice to provide a storage account path, right? You have the container name, the storage account name, and the path for the directory. Now I have already done this, so let me copy that from my, and here what I think the directory that we created was called test1, right? So here the full path, container 1, Unity Catalog Demo Apple, and then .dfs core windows.net and / the path, which is the directory. Now, as you can see here, it requires a Access Connector ID, right? So the Access Connector ID is the one here that we created in the, which is Access Connector. So again, open your Access Connector that you just created. And the ID is actually the resource ID that you can see here, subscription / whatever, and resource groups. So copy that, go back here, paste it here, right? And then click on Create. Let's see. Assign to workspaces, so I have only one Databricks workspace. If you have multiple, you can assign it to multiple workspaces. And click on Assign. Enable. It will give you this congratulations thing. Okay, you can close that. Perfect. So if you go under workspaces here, you will see your Databricks workspaces. Now I have only one, right? And then you have the catalog here, Metastore Demo, and you can see the full path here. And then you can see the workspaces this is assigned to. Give it a second. As you can see, here it is, right? Okay, so now you can open your Databricks workspace. You can click on Open here. I have already opened Databricks workspace, and you can go into Catalogs, right? So now that we have a Metastore, and we have provided a default location for this Metastore, whatever we create underneath Metastore, which is Catalog, Schema, Tables, Views. So if we don't provide a location, it's going to be stored in the default location of the Hive Metastore, of the Metastore that we created, unless we provide explicitly a different path, right? Okay, so I had to refresh the page. You always have to refresh the page after you assign a Metastore into your Databricks workspace, and just bear in mind again that you have to log on with your admin account, not a simple account, right? So here you will see this screen. You click on the Add button, and then here add a catalog. So let's create a catalog 1, for example. Type the standard type. We don't have to provide a storage location, it's not necessary. So if we click on that, we are going to create a new catalog, right? Perfect. View catalog. Let's view the catalog. And we can see the details here, right? So we have the Metastore ID, which is this one. And this Metastore ID is the ID of the Metastore that we just created. As you can see here, this ID is the same with this one. So, because that's the Metastore ID, right? Perfect. Okay, and then you can check the permissions and the workspaces, etc., all those things. Now, under let's say under catalog, we want to create a schema. So let's create a schema, call it schema, I don't know, 1. And then here again, you can provide an explicit location for your schema and then for your tables and also for your catalogs. If you don't provide an explicit path in your storage location, then by default, all this your data will be stored in the default location of the Hive Metastore. Again, you can override the default location by specifying a different location, right? Explicitly. But here we don't do that, so let's create a new schema. And here we have, and under schema, we can create a table, right? So let's create a table, upload some dummy data, and see where this data is stored. Let's see. Give it a second to load. My internet connection is a bit slow today. Here, just let me upload a CSV file. It doesn't matter now. Apparently, this is dummy data. So we just create a simple table with dummy data, and that's it. We don't want anything fancy here. Click on Create Table and give it some seconds. Okay, so we created this table. As you can see, it has one column only with nothing else inside, just I think some dummy data I have. Yeah, nothing, pretty much nothing. But here under details, you can see this is a managed table and the storage location is this one, right? So here you see the Metastore ID and then the table ID, right? And it has all this information here, and you can go into your storage account. Actually here I have the container. Let me refresh, and under container 1, test 1, we should have, now the Metastore ID and then the tables and then the table ID, and here we have the name, we have the data. Okay, now under container, let's create a new directory called test2, right? And then let's go back to our catalog explorer here, and then under schema 1, actually under catalog 1, or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Actually, we can actually create a new catalog, so that points to a different location. So then when we save the data, it won't save the data in the default test1 directory. It will save the data to the test2 directory. But in order to do that, we have to create first an external location and then a storage and storage credential. So credential type first, storage credential, storage demo, access connector ID. So let's go back to check out, copy that, access connector ID here, and click on create, right? Now, first we need the storage credentials. You need to have the right, apparently you have the, actually, this thing here, the access connector for Azure Databricks needs to have the right accesses, apparently, but we provided the storage blob contributor role, so we are good to go. Now, let's create an external location using these storage credentials. So external location name, external location, okay, storage credentials, the one that we created here, and the URL, right? So first container, let me again copy and paste that, and here /test2, right? Because we created a new directory, test2 here, which is empty right now. And now we are going to point to this location, to this directory. So let's click on create. Perfect. So under Catalog Explorer again, so now that we have created storage credentials and an external location, the next thing is to create a catalog that points to this directory, this new directory. So catalog2 standard, right? And select external location here. Perfect. So that points to this path and this directory. So let's create a new catalog, and underneath this new catalog here, let's create a new schema and create a schema 2, right? And we don't have to select a storage location again. You can do it on catalog level or on schema level or on table level. So we do it on catalog level now. So let's create a schema and then create a table. And here let's upload the same file. Let's create the new table. Give it a second. Okay, here we are. The table has been created. Under details, you will see this is again a managed table, but here we point to the test2 directory. And then we have catalogs, the catalog ID, and then the table ID. So it doesn't, what we are demonstrating here is that if you create a new catalog that points to a different path than the original path that you created on the Metastore level, it's going to overwrite. So if we go back now in the container, if we refresh test2, and you will see the new data here, the new folders, catalogs, the new catalog ID and the table, and you will see the data here. So it didn't go in the test1 directory because we overwrote the default location of the Hive Metastore, and that's the point, right? Okay, so now let's say that we want to create a new table under catalog2 and under the same schema, but we want to this new table to be created in a different container, in a different location. So if you go back to your containers, as you can see, we have two containers here, we have container 2, which is empty. So let's say we want this new table, which would be under the same catalog and the same schema, to be created under this container, which is not the default location. So let's go back to our Databricks workspace, click on here, create an external location, right? And demo external table, and then select your storage credentials, that's fine, and then provide the path. So here provide this path that points to the second container, right? Not the first container, the second container. So let's create that. And now that we have an external location, now we can use this external location to create an external table. Okay, so now that we have the new external location, we can create a table here. So as you can see, we have create table if not exist under catalog 2, schema 2, test 3. Just provide whatever columns you want, but the important thing here is the location. As you can see, it points to container 2, right? So if you run this command here, I have already run this command and it has already created the table. As you can see, that points to container 2, which is not the default location. Now let's insert, let's say, a value. Come on, give it a second. Yep, we inserted one record. Let's describe this table here and scroll down, and as you can see, now the type of the table is external and it points to this container. So let's go back to our container 2, let's refresh, and you will see that now we created an external table, right? Not a managed table, because we provided a new external location. And I think we are good to go. Like, we covered pretty much all the basic things about Unity catalogs. As you can tell, again, we have this Metastore level, which is the top level, then we have the catalogs, then the schemas, and at the bottom the tables, the views, etc., etc. And you can override the default location of your of the parent by providing an explicit path. And you can create managed tables and external tables, etc., and all those things. This is it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something new. We didn't do anything, very difficult or anything like that, very fancy. We just created a new Metastore, a new catalog, schemas, and tables, and see how they were stored in the default location or in the new location that we explicitly provided. If you like the video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you, guys.